So today we will be discussing why and where did we move, what were the reasons.
We would also share why we chose a basement over a condo apartment.
We were living in Mississauga.
We moved to a walkout basement in Oakville, and we will share the reasons why we moved from a basement to a basement, but a different kind of walk-in to walk-out.
After looking at several condos, basements from Brampton to Etobicoke, Mississauga, Oakville, we finally decided to move here in Oakville. As you might know, Oakville is one of the best areas in GTA. They have the best schools over here.
In a reasonable budget, in our budget, and a place which would be less populated, and a place which is closer to the GTA area, so it's closer to our workplaces in the future, because these are the places, Toronto or Mississauga or Brampton, these are the places where usually are where we see most of the companies, where the industries where we belong to, the companies are situated in these areas. So we just wanted to be very close to home and not spend our time in commute. So, and Oakville is like a straight road, and this we are not living inside, like, you know, in the downtown Oakville, in the central area, but we are just living at the border of Oakville and Mississauga. So if my husband or I find a job in Toronto or Mississauga, it will be very easier for us to commute without being stuck in traffic. And these are the positive points about Oakville. Secondly, the schools, the ratings of the schools are very, very nice, and you will not, this is not a very, I would say, desi kind of area where you'll find mostly desis, just like Brampton. It suited us in all the aspects that we were looking for.
As for the feedback we have received, that in some certain areas where, you know, immigrants are more populated, that school has been lowered down. In school curriculum to meet their standard, because if an immigrant might be visiting from, you know, a third world country, and they may have low standard education system. So to meet their expectations and, you know, to make them welcome and not to burden them with such high education standards, they are taking it slow
and also we've heard and we found out that, you know, the teachers usually are of the same nationalities. Usually we wanted a very neutral kind of community for our daughter, so that's why we moved to Oakville.
See, in our experience, while finding a place to live, you have to see your budget, you have to see about schools if you have kids, or parks, or grocery stores, and the most important thing is, you know, Canada in winters, in cold, you know, climates, it gets a little bit depressing. So it's better to have a place where you can have a large window with enough sunlight, or if you're living in a basement, try to have a walkout basements with a garden, and you can enjoy.
So walkout basement is usually, as we have also discussed in our previous videos, that the basements, they come with like you open the door and you walk out on the ground floor. So it's basically a ground level basement. You can call it a walkout basement, but with large windows. We searched for apartments in a very I would say crucial time, a time of crisis, when the landlords and the owners are willing to show us the apartments. Mostly wherever we were going, they were usually, because of this corona crisis, they were not willing to show the apartments. They were willing to keep it vacant, even if it goes on for, like, you know, 2-3 months. They were okay with that, but were not exposing themselves to the outsiders. So it was a very difficult time for us, where we had to literally, we were running to and from, like, to Brampton, to Oakville, to Toronto, to Scarborough, but we did not like any place because they were very small. They were not as we had wished for.
Okay, so I will always share my experience. In my experience, if a landlord is asking too many things, like, you know, provide this check, two references, AAA rating customer and this. I mean, that customer will always give you hard time while living over there. It's simple.
That landlord.
Yeah, that landlord, sorry to me. So it's better to have a person who is understanding, who doesn't
Cooperative.
have cooperative, who doesn't have too many, because it's a basement. It's not an apartment. It's a basement, and they don't need the credit score or these things, and so if it's better to have someone who has a good understanding,
Who is flexible, and who is easygoing, because then it will be literally a very big problem for you, even when moving in or moving out. So luckily, alhamdulillah, we found this. As I said, I'll give you a home tour in my next video. And as you can see, this is the window that opens in our living room. And so you must have seen little glimpses of the apartment in my previous video. So yes, you have a better idea why we chose this. Okay, coming to the second topic, which is why we chose a basement over a condo apartment. So even in my house hunting vlog, which I posted some time back, you can see the options that I have already included in that. I also gave you the video about the apartment, how it looks like, the view from the apartment, how big it was. It had 2+1 den, and we had shortlisted this one and that condo apartment, but we finally chose this over the condo because of a number of reasons. Number one,
it was a little bit unsafe. It was in a building on 15th, 16th floor, and we have kids. It has to be very, very vigilant to avoid such accidents. And
moving in, moving out in this time of crisis, we were not looking at something which would have a lot of risk. So this basement, it has a separate entrance. We are
yeah, if you're living in a building, God knows who is living next to you, or maybe they're having weed. I mean, it happened to me while I was visiting and looking for an apartment. I smelled weed in one of the neighbors. Imagine if you have a family and you're living next to a person or a couple or a family who smoke weed all the time. It's not a good place to live. So,
and even I think building managers cannot do anything about it because it's
weed is
in
legal.
their apartment.
Yeah, it's really legal.
Yeah.
It's in their apartment. And
I've seen people complaining out there is their neighbors are making a lot of noise, they are having parties all the time, it's problematic. Now,
yeah.
Coming to the pros of the condo apartments is that there was swimming pool, there was a gym in that apartment
I mean,
building.
you can have swimming pool and gym even in community centers nearby you, or you can pay. There are very cheap places you can go and to a gym. Yeah, indoor parking would be there, but
no, parking was not included.
I mean, you can pay and get a indoor parking, or there are securities there, but still, that it will be pretty crowded. I chose this basement. Basement is a walkout basement with a garden and a very great view.
Just the right decision that we made moving in here. Our children in this time of I would say quarantine, when your children are at home all the time, when you are at home all the time, it's such a blessing that your kids can play outside, your kids can play in the garden. Saw some basements which were not giving us garden access, and some basements were very small, some basements were without windows.
Yes, I mean, this basement, it's not that new. We were able to find new basements in good places in Brampton and Mississauga, but Brampton has a high insurance on vehicles, and due to the crime rate over there, I don't know, accident and these things. But in Oakville, my insurance was reduced. I mean,
from Mississauga.
From we moved to Mississauga. I was living in a good area in Mississauga. My insurance was not that high, but still, as a newcomer to Canada, I had a high insurance around $315. I moved to Oakville, and they reduced my insurance from $315 to $275. although I had a speeding ticket. So
Whereas if we would have moved to Brampton, it would have increased from I think $100, 75 to
it would
$125. They would
increased.
have increased. You that you can watch my packing and moving vlog, where I have you can see our previous basement apartment where it was a walk-in. We had to climb down the stairs to move into the apartment. That was a typical walk-in with small windows. One room had enough, like it had a big window, but then again they were covered by shields, silver shields, whereas you will find nothing in this one, because this is a ground level, so there is no shield. Nothing is blocking your view. Early morning we just wake up to sunlight. We wake up, with the view of the garden, and it's lovely. We are enjoying it to the max.
So friends, thank you so much for watching. I hope it may help you while you're looking for a place to live in Canada. And best of luck. I hope the best come towards you.